Hello and welcome to another episode of New World to Go. I am your host, Redbird, and with me is my good friend, BDLG. Bordy, it's going to be a rough night, man. I'm struggling from step one, dude.
Yeah, I'm your co-host, BDLG. What's up, dude? How's your
Yo,
night
man,
been?
for real, though, someone on Reddit this week called me out of my English speaking abilities. You know it's bad when someone's like, "Hey man, can you like speak English better?" And I'm like, "Sorry, dude. It's the only language that I know. So unfortunately, no, I cannot speak English
I
better."
haven't seen that, man, but that's pretty funny.
Yeah, dude. We got a cool show tonight because Amazon released another piece of content through IGN. They did an interview with them about their, all of their server performances, and a lot of the discussion that was had in this article was pretty interesting, and I think pretty exciting for a lot of the community because they mentioned some interesting things about, what to expect as far as their stance on the current version of the game and how it will look going forward. So it's gonna be a pretty brief episode, I think, but it's jam packed with information. So hopefully you guys stick around. So Bordy, me and you both have read this a couple times. We're pretty excited. A lot of cool information here. What were your initial thoughts? Because they basically did a little bit of a clickbait title on how Amazon plans to blow up MMOs with New World.
Yeah, I mean, I think this article overall is really, really good. I seen the title and I was like, oh, okay, what is this? And so then I read it, and the article has a lot of good information in there, and it gets me excited to play. I mean, we're sitting here at March, it's March the 1st. We're a month away from beta, and seeing things like this gets me excited because in this article they talk about the performance, they talk about how Amazon Game Studios is the real deal. They talk about how good combat is and the things that Amazon is doing differently to set them apart. And I found all of it to be very interesting. So I'll let you start off. We'll kind of dissect this thing, man.
All right. So again, you can go over to IGN.com, follow along with us on their article page. It's a pretty interesting article to read through. A lot of cool content in here. So first and foremost, they mention their visit to Amazon Gaming Studios, and this is we'll be really brief about this, but they went in there and again, I can't remember the last, and it depends on your opinion, I guess, on what the last big AAA MMO was. I would guess it was probably Elder Scrolls Online. Can you think of any AAA MMOs in between then and now?
Maybe it was Final Fantasy. Did it
It was
re-release after
before.
ESO? It was
Before.
before.
Yeah.
They did the reborn version of that before.
Yes.
Yeah. Then I don't know, man. Not off the top of my head.
So it's interesting because they do mention how IGN got to visit Amazon Gaming Studios, and as they walked in, it just felt like a big living powerhouse of a development team and a development studio. So that's obviously I think a lot of us knew that if Amazon was going to do something like this, that they were going to do it big, and it's really cool to have affirmation that this is not. Because you see a lot of comments out there saying oh, the team's not that big. They you know what I mean? But this team is I think have grown significantly since its initial attempts at starting to put together a game. The Christmas picture had 100 people plus in it, right?
Yeah, their team is enormous, man. Yeah.
So they're going full force in here with a big team. Obviously, to make changes like they've made, they're pretty sweeping changes, whether you like them or not. Over the past year, that takes a lot of people and a lot of man hours to kind of put new systems together, especially like in the housing article they mentioned like this was not in the game before and they put all of this whole system back into the game. That takes a lot of effort and time from a development team, and that's not the only thing they've done or changed since the last alpha. So it's very clear that they're a hardworking team, and IGN just kind of reaffirmed that thought as well. So again, this is going to be one of our main topics tonight, and that's how important their system is, or how they're going to go about the communication between player to player. And as anybody who's played any MMO game or any multiplayer game that requires like, PvP or any communication between another user, how important it is to have good production or good performance in that aspect. Bordy, me and you both have a pretty extensive history of MMOs and also like competitive PvP games, and there's nothing worse than bad performance.
Yeah, that can ruin a PvP experience in a hurry. It doesn't matter how good your combat is, doesn't matter how amazing the game is, how great it looks, all the particle effects, how beautiful it is. It doesn't matter. None of that matters unless your performance is on point, right? Like you can jump into a game and love the combat while you're fighting mobs. You can fight some little 1v1 battles, some little duels or whatever, and everything can be great. And then whenever you get into the big main, siege battles or whatever, you lag out, and there's nothing worse than that, man. It's extremely frustrating, and there's nothing that will make me quit a game faster than bad performance. And I know a lot of people feel that way, and unfortunately, that's why a lot of MMOs just don't do very well. Like ESO, use that one as an example, man. They're working on their servers still now in 2020 so that their siege battles in Cyrodiil can be as good as they should be. They have fantastic combat. The game's a lot of fun, but their PvP, the big giant scale PvP, is not very good. And by the looks of it, and by the looks of this article, Amazon is not going to have that issue, right? Because their simulation of their combat is server based instead of client based. So I think that's huge, man. I think that is huge. And from all accounts and all reports we've heard, the game runs amazingly well, and that I think in and of itself is going to be an enormous advantage for this game and their large scale combat over other games that offer large scale combat.
Right. So basically, so most games or most computer games are ran locally, which is basically on a user's computer, known as client-based processing. But so that is basically your computer checks with the server and then goes back and then the server communicates with your computer off of base of the information base sent from your user. But in this case, Amazon, due to a significant server resources, obviously Amazon has a massive web-based service program. Most of the simulations in their PvP or in their servers in general are server-based, which frees up, again, a lot of the power, the computing power on your end to just perform, to run the game or to perform, all of the tasks that you're going to do as far as when you communicate. And the best way to put that is when you put input in, whether you're telling your person to dodge or swing your axe, et cetera, et cetera. Here's a quote from the article. A tremendous amount of our simulation is server-based instead of client-based. Basically, in a lot of games, the client makes suggestions to the server and the server verifies. For us, the server actually does the action. So the server says, oh, you're swinging your sword? I'll do that for you, and I'll figure out what happens in terms of intersection with other players and causing damage. Which, again, this is something that a lot of games particularly can't afford to do because, again, it requires a lot of server support, right? So one of the best examples that I can think of recent is Destiny 2. And basically, one of the main complaints from Destiny and the PvP community is that they didn't have dedicated servers because a lot of the gunplay and everything felt pretty bad sometimes when there was bad performances, and you would get shot through walls or you would get behind a corner and then get shot from somebody. All of that stuff is due to again, processing issues between the different users. But what they're basically saying in long form here is that they have dedicated servers for MMO PvP, which I don't know, other than maybe WoW, I don't know of any other games that do that, which is pretty crazy, dude, to think that 2020 and here's like, one of the first MMOs to ever do this, which is basically dedicated servers.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it makes me very optimistic about the future of this game just because of the performance alone. I mean, you're talking about 50v50 battles that are virtually without lag. I mean, just think about that for a second. Have we ever experienced that in an MMO? I
without
haven't, man.
lag.
Like
No.
without lag, yeah. I've had some really fun like big siege battles in MMOs before that are pretty large, but they always tend to get a little bit laggy, and then sometimes they're so laggy that you can't play. The combat's fun, and you have to go on the outskirts and do whatever. And I have never experienced like a lagless, big, huge siege battle experience. And I think that Amazon has has the potential, and I think they will deliver that to us. And I that makes me crazy excited to play this game, dude. We are so close too, man. We're a month out from beta, dude.
Yeah, and so one of the things, and again, there's a mixed amount of people out there that whether you feel one way or another about the different features that New World's going to bring to us. I think most people will agree that the performance of the game is very, very good, even in the alpha, and that's pretty incredible to say. An alpha without many performance problems, that's like an anomaly in and of itself. But as you kind of break down again, it doesn't matter how great a game is or the features that they provide. If the game runs terribly, then your experience is going to suck no matter what the game is about or what the game presents to you. So again, they have the core variable in any successful game, and it's that it runs well. So we are starting on the right path, and so here's a really cool quote too, and this is a discussion topic that we can go over. So, and this is the way that the lead director Scott Lang kind of sees New World, and again, this sets aside three core features that they're going to provide to their audience or their player base. It's art style, which I mean I think we can all agree, it's pretty unique art style, kind of a a unique setting in a tournament, and how it's kind of a variation of a certain point in history and everything like that. So it's pretty unique. It's combat, which have you ever played an MMO with Dark Souls combat or Dark Souls like combat?
No, man, not to this extent. There are some other ones out there, like some indie ones, like Gloria Victis maybe has like real time combat. Not to this extent. It's a little bit stale compared to what this is going to be. But Gloria Victis and like Life is Feudal maybe, and that's about that's about it, man. That's about it, dude. Yeah, I don't really know of any other ones that are like great that I've played that have this style of combat that they're introducing, man. It's gonna be good.
So not only the combat, but it's wars and evasions. So he says, I think those three features will put us in a bracket of MMOs that hasn't been done yet. And I think that statement right there is hard to argue the truth behind it, right? I don't think any MMO has made an effort to combine the combat that they're going to kind of put forth in a large-scale PvP setting. And again, and you made a good point about this, I can't remember the last MMO I played that has large-scale combat that doesn't suffer from some type of performance issues, right? There's always some kind of latency, whether you're peak hours and there's just too many people in the server, or again, you have too many particle effects going on and just, people just spamming their AoEs, and then all of a sudden, you drop the 2 frames and then you're dead, or you drop the 2 frames and then, somehow you're back at where you started playing 30 minutes ago, or something weird like that, right? So it's going to be interesting to see, because I haven't seen really any lengthy footage of a 50v50 yet. So I can't, neither one of us, I don't think, can speak intelligently on how well these perform. But I think from square one, I think they're making the right approach at it, which is basically, again, performance is the main variable of success here.
Yeah, for sure. And then the other thing that's going to stand out, I think, are the invasions, right? Like there's plenty of other MMOs that have these large scale PvP encounters. But then I don't think, are there any that have these types of invasions that they're going to be using? Like it's basically like a siege with mobs. Does any other MMO do that?
Dang, man. I'm gonna get flamed for this. But the original version of Fortnite had something like that. Where it was basically a PvE game where people, you know what I mean? you built it.
Yeah, but
And
that's not an MMO though. Like this, that's a completely different setting.
yeah,
That
yeah,
was,
yeah. But I'm saying like
yeah,
that was like what they're trying to do. I think is basically have like
yeah, but like
waves or
a
invasions.
horde mode. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, there's plenty of games that have horde mode. I mean, you're talking about like Gears of War has a horde mode. I mean, there's the Call of Duty has a horde mode with zombies. Basically, there's tons of those. But I'm talking about like specifically an MMO that has not only players that are coming to try to take your territory, but also PVE like type elements that are trying to come and take your
no,
territory. I've never seen it.
not that I can think of off the top of my head. Again, what's unique about it is these are player-owned civilizations, which again, not a lot of MMOs really do, right? They don't have a lot of features where you build your own towns in an MMO. A lot of MMOs have kind of shot for that feature, and I think maybe fallen short to a certain extent. So again, I think to make this work, you need some kind of system again where you have things to defend, right? And so I don't know of any MMOs that really have that ability where you're defending a piece of territory or a piece of real estate against the actual NPCs in the game.
Yeah, it's. I think that he's spot on by saying that those are three core features of the game that's going to help it stand out because I can't argue the fact that all three of those are going to be unique to the genre. The art style, the combat, the war, and the invasions are something that I've never seen combined like this before in the MMO genre.
Right. So again, and this is something. This is a theme that you're going to have, and I think you people are either going to recognize the truth in it or not. The performance of the game is going to be number one, right? How well the game performs. If the game performs really well, then they're going to narrow it down to the features of the game. So then, what is the most common feature that you're going to perform in any MMO, and that's the combat, right? Everything is going to be centered around either tab targeting something and burning it down with the skills that you have, or again, a lot of MMOs have kind of transitioned to an action-based combat. So how fun is that action-based combat? How clunky is it? What does the variety of skills look like? What do the character builds look like? How do the classes look like? Again, New World has a class list system, but all the other things are going to be, again, centered around this Dark Souls type of combat and how well that works in a MMO. Now, if you think about, again, fighting another player and having like the timed attack versus the block and the parrying and the dodging and everything like that creates a high skill floor. And again, that's what I think most people are looking for in an MMO that enjoy PvP, is a way to separate themselves from the rest of the people, right? You don't want to create a game where like, oh yeah, sure, it's like a coin flip every time you go against another player, right? You don't want to have it as an instance where like, oh, basically it's whoever swings their weapon first is going to win or something like that. So again, this type of combat is they're going to lean heavily on this as a point of success of the game, and it's going to be interesting again to see how that works out in PvP, because how hard is it going to be to fight two people at once, right? How hard is it going to be to fight three people at once when a lot of the combat that you have is timing?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot like Mordal's combat, man. I've been playing a lot of Mordal here lately, and it's difficult to take on more than one opponent at a time. You can do it, but it's very, very hard to do. And I think that New World is going to be quite a bit different than Mordal because there's abilities and a lot of other things you can use to take into consideration. But I think in terms of like the timing and the way you have to block and dodge and all of that good stuff, I think it's going to be pretty similar to Mordal. And it's hard, man. It's hard to take on a lot of enemies. So I think that the sieges are going to take a lot of coordination between teams. Because I don't think if you go off rogue, man, it may not be very easy to 1vx in this game. I don't know. I don't know, man. We'll have to see.
Right. And so again, you're looking at, and I think even now, basically like Elder Scrolls Online is considered action-based combat, Elder Scrolls Online, though, you still like kind of look at somebody and use your skills, and then they magically hit that person, right? In New World, there is no targeting. So basically, if you use an AoE axe attack, if they're not within that AoE span, then they are not getting hit. If you shoot your bow and they run out of your target area, they're not going to get hit. So this again creates a massive skill gap, and it creates a very interesting environment in which again, these are server based communications on how accurate you are with your weaponry, and again, how good can you dodge, because if you're good at dodging attacks, then you're going to be good at surviving in this type of combat, which is really exciting to think about when it comes to these PvP battles.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so now the next point is going to be a hot button topic, and we kind of thought it would be a good main topic point for today's podcast, and that is that and he goes on to quote, and this is one of the headings in the article, is Amazon Game Studios isn't resigned to the new model and would consider bringing back features from the previous versions of the game. So I know where everybody's mind kind of goes through when they hear that, and it's the same place that me and Bordy's mind went to, and that is how or what will it look like as they maybe consider these to bring back some of those PvP centered features back into the game.
Yeah, so before we get too deep into this, though, I want to read one of these little blurbs from this article. So it says, according to Lane, Amazon Game Studios isn't resigned to the new model and would consider bringing features back. But here's his quote, okay? It says, we will always consider bringing things back. However, it says, we are set on launching our alphas and betas this way and seeing what happens. So I do not think that they are going to change anything back until after maybe alphas and betas, but that, maybe after the closed beta, we may see something change back upon release. But I personally don't think it's going to happen. I don't think we're going to go back to full loot PvP. I don't think we're going to get PvP servers on release. And I don't think we're going to get zones on release. I think what we're going to get on release is exactly what's in the game right now. And I don't see that changing, because one of the things that they also say in this article is that he says we could do servers, like we said, we could do PvP areas, but what I don't want to do is exclude people from content. All right. That was another quote from Lane. And I understand that. Okay. I get that. Like, I would love to have a PvP server, but at the same time, at what cost, right? Like, at what cost? You're going to split your community. You're going to split your community up, and then if you have PvP areas, then he's right. Like, there's people that aren't going to be able to experience the content in those areas because they're not going to want to go there. And yes, I get it. That's on them. Like, they should just go out there anyway, I guess. I don't know, but I think for the overall health of the game, if they can give us good incentives like they're saying they're going to give us to opt into PvP, then I don't think there's going to be a problem at all. I don't think we'll ever see full loot come back into this game. I just don't. I don't think that I think the vast majority of people would rather it not be full loot than be full loot. I'm in the minority. I would rather see full loot, but I don't think we're going to get it, which is fine. I think that it's still going to be fun, and with the right incentives to opt into PvP, it's going to be really fun. So what do you think, man? My vote, or not my vote, but my intuition tells me we're not going to get any new features on like any of the old features on release. I think they're going to stick with what they have on release. But what do you think? What's your prediction here, man?
I honestly think it's the opposite. I think they don't make this comment unless their plans are to, again, take into consideration the feedback from alpha and beta and then make a choice before the actual game launches. Now, it becomes interesting at that point. What will they add back? Will they add, again, just a server, a PvP server, or 2 PvP servers to kind of appease the people that did want to experience the game in that way, which is basically open world PvP? Will that include full loot versions of the game? I doubt that. I think what we're going to get now at this point in the game is probably, everybody's always flagged at all times, but again, the death or the penalty of death is basically you're having to respawn at your home from wherever you were at. So that basically like, oh yeah, I'm in a really high value area, trying to get this particular rare item that I need for my crafting, and or maybe someone else is paying me to get for their crafting, and then I die trying to get that, and so now I'm back at, I'm back at my home, however X amount of minutes away from travel. Another big thing, and we know how the map is sectioned out already because they've showed us in a lot of videos how each territory is kind of broken up. Well, it's very possible again to see some of those change where like, okay, if you go into this area, then you're automatically flagged, right? And so I don't know, man. I don't think they make this comment if they aren't, again, truly considering this, because what positive thing can it really become? I know a lot of people's argument is that they're just saying this so people don't cancel their pre-order. Dude, they're gonna find out before the game launches that they aren't doing anything different, right? Amazon's not going to like keep quiet until the launch and say, oh yeah, by the way, the game's the same in beta. I just don't think, no matter what, I don't think the game's going to be the same as it is in beta at launch. Can you agree with that?
Yeah, I think they'll make some changes. I don't think it's going to be the change. Like, I don't think they're going to revert back to a lot of these features that everybody's wanting, though. I just don't see that happening, because one of the things they have been consistent about that I've seen him quote multiple times, that he doesn't want to exclude people from content. And I don't know how you don't exclude people from content whenever you have PvP zones. You're going to exclude people whenever you have that, right? Like, I'm not opposed to it. Like, don't get me wrong. If they added that, that'd be dope. I'd be in. But I just don't think that it's going to happen. So I'm not getting my hopes too high. I also think that they are very open-minded, and they're not set in stone with what they want to do, like, which I guess could be a good thing and a bad thing. But I think that they're listening to their players, and that I think they truly do want to make a game that everyone enjoys and wants to play. And I think they can get there, but I don't know, man. It's hard, and I see their dilemma here. They're a big company, man. They've got a lot of money invested in this game. They obviously want to make some money off of the game. So it's like, how do you do that whenever you cater to such a small niche of people that want full loot PvP? Because if we're being honest here, that is probably the smallest niche in the MMO market. Now, granted, I'm in that market and I want one of those games really bad, but I don't think this is going to be that. I don't think it will be. I don't think it ever will be. I think that we'll have some fun experiences in PvP. I think the PvP is going to be a blast. I think the sieges are going to be a blast. I don't think we're going to get full loot PvP. I don't think we're going to have a hardcore game ever again. I think that ship has sailed, man. I think that there's a possibility that at some point we could get PvP servers. My prediction is that we won't get those on launch.
Yeah, and we definitely disagree with that, or in that particular item or aspect, I guess. But I think we both agree that a lot of those hardcore features, they're not. Amazon is spending a lot of money. This is a AAA project. This isn't something that, again, they're going to release through Steam in an alpha. You know what I mean? In an alpha form, and be like, "Hey, coming soon." And then 5 years later, they're still in alpha, and it's like, "Hey, coming soon." We've added that. You know what I mean? This is a product that they're going to launch in May.
Yeah.
We're not getting that type of environment, whether they set out to produce that type of game or not, is no longer the view of the game. And yes, they want to provide for as many people that supported that vision as possible, and I think they will do that in some form or fashion, whether it be PvP servers or zones. But I don't think we're getting the looting back, because that drastically changes the overall gameplay of the game. If the PvP server, you do full loot, anything goes, and then in the other server it's like, think of how different the economies are going to be in the two servers. Like, there's just no way that they can support those two environments.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see who's right here, Rib. But I mean, I'd be putting money on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Wait. Speaking of bets, man, we got to go over this real quick, because I called you out on Reddit. just real quick about the ancients, and we have a wager going on, Bordy, and we're gonna settle this right now. We're gonna determine what the
Okay.
terms of the wager, because I mean, I think you might already know that you're wrong, so you're gonna be more
I'm not wrong. I'm
conservative
not
about
wrong.
this. But
I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong about
the
this.
wager for anybody who didn't see it is that Bordy bets that all the ancients are skeletons.
Yeah.
And I disagree, and I think that all of there will be some other form of of ancient other than
Well,
just a
you
skeleton.
claim you've already seen a screenshot with
Yeah, I
an
did.
ancient as a
Ghosts.
ghost.
I would think
Well,
that.
I still have yet to see that. I don't know where that is. So,
Well, it's in this
whatever.
article, dude. Go look through the screenshots. It's there, dude.
That
It's
doesn't
there.
mean that it's an ancient. How do you know that's an ancient? I've seen all the screenshots in this article. There's not. I don't. No, dude.
Well,
I
you
see.
look.
I'm looking at
Well,
it
I'll
right
point it
now.
out to you
Those aren't
after the
ghosts.
podcast. But what are we wagering here, brother? What's it gonna be?
Those aren't ancients, man.
What?
Yeah, I do know those are not ancients, man. I don't know. What do you want to bet? I don't know how much. Like, we can't bet gold in game because we don't know what it's going to be worth. Like, I bet 100 gold. That might be a crap load of money, dude. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, man.
No, dude. We'll do real life shaming here on the podcast. You're gonna have to admit that.
Okay, okay. What about live on stream? You have to do something live
All
on
right, dude.
stream,
No
dude.
problem.
Okay,
No
okay.
problem.
What's the bet?
I mean, I hate to call you out here, but once upon a time, one of us, I won't name which one of us, had to wear a trash bag.
Okay,
Had to wear a
okay.
trash
We can
bag
go that route
for an
All
entire
right.
stream.
I did. I lost that bet. Okay, it's fine though because I'm not going to lose this one. We'll go that route again.
What
All right,
is it?
we'll go that route again. You have to wear a trash bag for an entire
Why a
stream that
trash bag?
has
That doesn't
"I am
win.
trash" written on it, dude.
No, something about knowledge.
Huh.
Maybe a dunce cap.
Okay,
Loser wears a dunce cap.
Okay, that okay,
Or
that's
whatever.
Fine. That's
We
easy.
can,
Okay.
it can be. We can be more creative, but it's going to be whatever we do. It's going to be live on stream, so you'll have to tune
A
in.
clown. You got to dress up like a clown.
All right, dude.
Yeah,
No
just
problem.
your face and your face and your head. A clown
face
wig,
paint.
clown nose.
But
No, you're not
nose
no,
and wig,
just
yes.
Nose and wig.
I don't do
for the
paint
whole
on my
stream.
face.
You have to leave it on the whole stream.
All right, no problem.
That's it. Yeah.
No problem, dude.
All right.
All right. This is gonna wrap up another episode of New World to Go. Bordy, why don't you tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, man. You can find me over at studioloot.com, creating a ton of New World content over there. You can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/thebdlg. On Twitter, the same thing at thebdlg, and on Twitch at twitch.tv/bdlg.
And I am Redbird. That is with a Y. You can find me over there at Twitch and YouTube and the same name. Also, guys, go check out studioloot.com. We just put out a new page about our guild that's going to be, or our company that's going to be in New World. So we would love to have you guys. We are going to be competing in everything that the game has to offer. And really, our main focus is building a community with you guys and having lots of fun, because that's why we play video games, I think. So, yes, we're going to be competitive. We're going to do everything in the game, but we also want to have fun doing it. We're not going to sit here and yell at you because you didn't show up at 8 o'clock or something silly like that. So, yeah. Check out our company page, also studioloot.com. We got a lot of content over there, as well as a really awesome article put together by Bordy. It's probably the best thing he's ever done, which is the what we know about New World. It has literally everything that you would want to know if you're a new player or someone that's interested in getting in the game. Go check that out at studioloot.com. Thanks for listening. We really appreciate it, guys. We hope you have a great week, and we'll see you on the next episode of New World to Go.